we'd love to hear from you. So please do check out our website over at brighterwork.com and say hello. Now on to the main event. So this is a fascinating workshop that's been co-created by Gemma and Myron on the Innovation and Mastery Leadership Programme, and it was driven by their passion about neuroscience of engagement and creating fun and inclusive communication experiences. Today, we'll learn about creating fully inclusive workshops with neurodiversity in mind, which is why it's a key piece of the puzzle and how you can put these techniques into practice. When we ran this workshop for Simon Powers just before the end of last year, he was completely blown away, which is why we had to share this workshop with you today. Over to you, Gemma and Myron.
So welcome everybody. I am Gemma Honor. As Charlie kindly introduced me, I am the new director of coaching for Brighter Work, and also an agile coach. And yeah, and I'm absolutely delighted to be presenting today with Myron Parks. So Myron.
Hello everyone, my name is Myron Parks. I'm a enterprise agilist slash system slash service designer. I like to describe myself as a dreamer that does whatever he wants. I'm wearing a bib right now. This is a bib. So what I'm doing today is I'm coming to you completely unmasked. And so I'm wearing a bib, which I do 90% of the day. And earlier you may have noticed that I was all the way around and I was making coffee and I was doing lots of things off camera until the very last second. And so today I want to impart to you in certain ways that you can just improve your life, like take the difficulty down. Enterprise Agilists, I've done a bunch of agile stuff. I'm fascinated with ideas and fascinated with creating spaces where everyone can belong and not have to mask, because that cognitive burden is really reducing our ability to make great and amazing things. So I'm super happy to be here with Gemma today, the Brighter Work family and AWA Global family, and you all.
Brilliant. Thank you, Myron. And yeah, it's a passion of mine as well. As many of you who know me will know, I'm extremely passionate about visual thinking and the power of visual thinking to be able to make workshops and workspaces in general more accessible environments. So we have got a mural Miro, today that we're going to be using. I'm just going to drop that into the chat so that everybody can access that link, and do give us a shout if you've got any issues accessing that. But just to get us started, what I wanted to do was just to give 2 minutes for you to find an object from somewhere around you, whether you're in a workspace or whether you're in a home, that represents what you understand about your neurotype. So that's 2 minutes to find any kind of object that represents what you understand about your neurotype. So the 2 minutes starts now. You need to be moving or you need to be finding something, because you're going to be showing it on the screen at the end of the 2 minutes.
Get ready. Hey, I hear that music going. That's what's up.
If you've already got your object handy, somebody said that the link isn't working. I can see people joining it, so I'm hoping that worked.
So are we copying it and pasting it again?
let's just,
I could have added a space or lost one at the end or something.
yeah, let's just copy and paste again, and hopefully we can get everybody joining. Okay, so for those of you who have grabbed objects, if you want to just hold them up to the screen and let us see what you've got that represents your neurotype. Oh, lovely. We've got blankets, we've got pillows. Oh, we've got a very busy iPad, a little duck. Post-it, lots of post-it notes, actually. A lot of people representing in post-it notes, a camera, an Elmo. Does anybody want to shout out what their object means to them?
I've got a pen here. I'm not sure how that relates to my neurotype, but I use a pen to note down everything that crosses my mind, and that helps me be aware of whatever it is that otherwise I will forget. Thank you.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Tony. Anybody else want to share their objects? There's some really cool objects that I think we saw being brought up. Annika.
I've got a pencil case of pens, right? And it's not just pens, it's like glue and rubbers and everything. So it's a slightly chaotic thing, but I like joining the dots. But then I also like to be creative, which is why it's got cats on it too.
Nice.
Love it. I love that metaphor. That's brilliant. Thank you. Anybody else want to share?
I was one of the post-it note people. So I put everything on post-it notes because I worry about forgetting it. So if it sits on a post-it note on a wall somewhere, then it won't disappear.
Right. That was awesome. I want to point out, you'll see in the participants, you'll see something called Myrons Otter.ai. That is a transcriptionist that's here specifically because I have autism and ADHD, and that makes sure that I can focus on creating and living in my memory as I experience them. There's an aspect of ADHD called intrusive thoughts. And what that means is it's not like the horror movies. It is when you are reminded of the context of something, you experience the entire thing and you have no choice. And so this taking all the notes allows people like myself to be fully in the moment. And because a few people have noted things that help them to keep ideas, because those ideas are like the most special things in the universe for people like me. And so I make sure that the environment collects that for me so I can play with my creativity. Thank you for that.
Brilliant. So yeah, I think we saw a range of different things coming up for people, and I think it really does, it represents the diversity of how we think about ourselves, how we understand ourselves, but also, yeah, some of, like Myron says, some of the areas where we feel like less secure in our abilities, but also the areas that actually maybe it helps us shine. So in terms of our kind of creativity, or able to kind of see the big picture. So I'm going to hand over to Myron, who's going to give us a little bit of an introduction into what makes like a normal brain.
Thank you so much. So this is the part that's pretty can I share my screen, Gemma?
Of course.
I didn't ask first. I didn't try first. I just asked just in case.
Should be able to, Myron.
All right, cool. So I can share my screen. So one of the things that's really, really cool is we get to talk about normal. Now, this is about neurodiversity, but any conversation about neurodivergence or people in general should start, or it's very effective to start with normal. So what does normal mean? I luckily, or some may say it's not luckily, I luckily got hyper-focused on the human brain and human development. I started with adult education. I went to neuropsych-based school psychology. And when I went there, by the way, because I'm standing before you, because I wanted to be a music teacher when I grew up. Okay. And so I went there and they're like, okay, education, cool. So there's the music part. I was already doing that. So then they started teaching us about actually how people learn. And when you get far enough in education circles, it's just neuropsychology. Like you actually have to learn how the brain learns. And in that process, I learned that normal was made up. Everything's made up. Normal is essentially what we decide what normal is. Well, think about most of our Western education, the Bismarck plan, right? We need people that are comfortable doing this all day in factories so that our societies can continue moving. And so you set up systems to find those people and to separate the people that would slow down progress. And so normal is based on what the society believes that it needs. Now, most of these things are set for the Industrial Revolution. And as you all know, in the 80s, Apple was like, think differently. And that's the reason we're all here today, because we began thinking differently. But the world hasn't changed for us. And so normal is the average. If you've ever seen the movie Forrest Gump, there was a really important scene in the very beginning of that movie. That movie happened, I believe, in 1976 or 75. There's something really interesting about the United States. In 1976 or 75, the principal of the school got to decide whether a child was eligible for public education. In the beginning of that movie, Forrest Gump was just on the borderline. His intelligence was a 75 on the IQ scale. Now that's average, but he was just there. And the principal turns to the mother and says, well, everyone else is here and Forrest is there. So what are we going to do about it? Now, unfortunately, it was the 70s or 60s, and the mother had to essentially do sexual favors to get her son in. But that's normal. Normal is a bar that is set for a purpose. We want people that can do an average range of things. If you've all have seen a standard deviation, a standard distribution before, you understand what I mean. The outliers are the problem. Now, normal is generally defined, or actually most people don't walk around defining normal because it's the status quo. But I defined normal earlier this year as I started learning about neurodivergence. And this is the definition I came up with. Normal is the measure of an individual's capacity to respond appropriately to power. Synonym, compliant. Now, one of the things that I say, and I think we've said about this course, is we're talking about real diversity of thought. Now, you may also have heard people about 4 or 5 years ago when asked about equity and inclusion, because DEI became a thing about 4 or 5 years ago, and people were caught off guard by that. And one of the things people began saying is, well, we don't really need sort of ancestral diversity because there's plenty of diversity of thought. And so I've been Agilist, and I'm sitting in there, I'm like, all right, why are they talking about cross-functional teams and agility when they're being asked about equity? Did any of y'all think that when you heard people doing that diversity of thought when we were talking about equity and like that kind of stuff? Well, that's one of the reasons that we're here today, is because we want to actually note that normal harms everyone. And so if you're a white male or a black male or anyone, normal is people in power or those in power that expect you to perform a particular way when they say things. When your boss tells you, you have to return to work now. I know that's a soft subject right now, but that is a normal. You're only measured based on what you do based from what they say. And so one of the other things I wanted to have you ponder is, what is the correlation between how good someone feels and how often they use absolutist language? Should, never, good, bad. These are things that harm the neurodivergent person and neurotypical or holistic people as well. And so that normal power structure, all of us are being harmed by it. And so here are ways that we can actually like bring the difficulty of life down for everyone. And so that's normal. We had to start with normal. Normal is defined. Whenever you've received grade status for your kids or when you're in class, you're ranked on the percentile. And that percentile is based on what normal, average children are doing. There are probably some parents here who are having troubles with the public school system or the private school system because your child is a genius at maths, but they have trouble reading and they're being held back. Or your child may be excellent in everything and the child is also being held back, or you were held back because the entire rate of growth is based on normal. And so think about this question as we continue forward. Where would you be if your preparation was customized to you from grade 1? Where would you be today? And I'll turn it over to you, Gemma. That's normal. That's what we're all working against, and it affects all of us. And sing. You're muted, Gemma. Sorry.
There we go. Hopefully I'm unmuted now. Thank you, Myron. So yeah, I think that is a brilliant summary from Myron in terms of what isn't normal. We're now going to have a little bit of a research activity for those who can access the board. I think there's still some people who aren't able to access the board. So Myron, if you could just like recheck the links, that would be brilliant.
Absolutely.
We are going to be asking you to do a research task next. So we want you to go away and look in. We're going to break you up into 6 different groups, and you're going to have 10 minutes to go away and answer some questions using all of the resources that we put in front of you. So the first question that we want you to answer is, what is neurodivergence? And then the second question we'd like you to answer is, how can we all support each other? You've got 10 minutes to answer those questions, so to do that research, and then 5 minutes to, in your group, be able to like play it back to each other. And we've got this in this bright blue area here, this group space for each group to go into and put together their key findings. And then after that, we will just be asking everybody to play back as quickly as possible within about a minute what their key findings were, so that hopefully this way we'll have a wide range of ideas around what is neurodivergence and how we can all support each other. So what I'm going to do is send you into breakout rooms. If anybody finds that they haven't gone into a breakout room or nobody's speaking within a breakout room, you should have the option to come back into the main group, and then we can sort you out from there. And do also just give us a shout as well if you need any, like come back into the main room and give us a shout if you need a hand with anything. So first of all, I just want to check, are there any questions about that activity? And there's no question that's like, yeah, too silly to ask.
So I see there are lots of videos here. Is this the time to kind of play them, or is it more?
Yeah, so you can play the videos, you can scoot through them. I think there's resources to read as well. I think Myron's kind of put together a massive kind of amount of research that you can go into to help yourselves too. Myron?
Yeah. so like, since y'all are going to be in groups, what you'll want to do is you'll want to consider dividing and conquering, and then coming back and just summarizing what y'all have all found, so that when you come back, your team has like something to share. We're going to give everyone 5 minutes, like everyone, like all 6 groups, in 5 minutes, you just share something that stands out.
Well, yeah, we'll give you a warning when you've got your 5 minutes to start kind of pulling that information together. Okay, so unless there was any other questions, I will send everybody into those breakout groups. Brilliant. Welcome back, everybody. I'm hoping I never give enough time for those types of tasks, so apologies if it felt very, very rushed. But I can already tell that we're going to have some really interesting insights coming out of the group. So without further ado, I'm going to just ask for a 1-minute playback from each group about their findings. So starting with group 1, what would you like to play back from your learning?
So very quickly, we said that we thought neurodivergence was understanding that people can experience the world in a different manner, and that differences in the brain affect how the brain works. And we said in terms of support each other, we can ask each other how that we prefer to engage, what is safe for you, what would help you, what would distract you. Understanding different people want to engage or not in different ways, create a safe environmental space, design for difference, recognize and celebrate the difference, trying to make people feel comfortable, and using language that focuses on capability and not on deficit.
Oh, that is brilliant. Thank you. Give everybody a round of applause for group 1 before we move over to group 2.
System thinkers in that group, I would say.
Big thinkers
Talking about
in that
capabilities.
group. I love it. Yes, cool.
Yeah.
Group 2, did you want to play back what your findings were?
Sorry, who's group 2? I'm confused.
Okay. So...
Yeah, I think that was us. I'll jump in. So what is neurodivergence? We've got something to do with differences in how our brain works. And neurodivergence describes people whose brain differences affect how their brain works. How can we support each other? Some similar ideas to group 1. One, learn to increase self-awareness. So if we're more aware of ourselves, we can be more aware of others. Asking others how they might prefer to be engaged. Be brave, go first, make it safe for others to speak and to share. Adapting our communication styles for different things. So we become more aware, we can find appropriate styles. Don't be afraid to share your colour of diversity. So again, speaking up, letting people know. That was us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Amazing. Awesome. Group 3. Oh, there's a big blank space for group 3, but did group 3 have anything that they wanted to play back? If group 3 know who they are.
No one from group 3?
No one from group 3, that's fine. We'll pass in that case, and we will move to group 4.
So in group 4, on the divergence, kind of adding to what others have said, people that have different strengths and challenges from people whose brains don't have those differences, but a different flavor is thinking about neurodiversity, which is more about embracing the diversity of all different types of brains and how they work, and how we can harness different people's strengths and promote inclusion of all different types. Also, it came up that maybe pro-neurodiversity people might reject things like high or low functioning labels, or mild to severe labels, specifically in autism. But in terms of support, just mention that mental health and physical health are equally important. That was some of it.
That's so good. And so yeah, and also that link to mental health and physical health were really, really interesting. I remember, I think this was Myron's point last time, but the whole body is a system, and that includes the brain. And that really, I think that really stuck with me from last time around as well. Brilliant, thank you. Group 5.
Yeah, I've been nominated. I'm going to look to the left because that's where my board is, just to let you
That's
know.
fine.
Yeah, so in terms of what it is, it's people with different strengths and challenges. And some of the strengths can be things like being able to picture 3D objects, maths and solving problems, things like that. It can be that they're different brain structures. And yeah, so that's sort of the what it is. In terms of how to help, just be accepting that people are different, supporting people, being aware of groupthink and giving the people the opportunity to contribute in meetings and things like that. Yeah, and using emotional intelligence in the differences to see the differences between everyone in the room. So that's a short summary.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. I love the fact that you picked up on the strengths that you get around neurodiversity there as well. Yeah, and those links to emotional intelligence as well. Big round of applause for group 5. And then it looks like we've got group 6 here. Any playback from group 6? If group 6 know who they are or they've got anything to play back? No, in which case, let's give everybody a big round of applause. Well done for successfully completing that first activity. And now I'm going to hand over to Myron to give us a little bit of a summary on play therapy.
Yes. And so how do you activate different people? How do you activate people who have different brains? How do you do all these things and like still run a company or still run a business? Well, one of the answers is you change the environment. One of the key things about neurodiversity, particularly ADHD, is that the research shows that there's a lot of really good response to cognitive behavioral therapy, but also an amazing amount of response to play therapy. And so in this next segment, we're going to be inviting you all to research play therapy. We've collected some articles so that you can see what the bones are. There's some theory there, there's some examples there, and we want you to begin thinking about, okay, how would we actually change our environments to make more people available to operate? Okay. So play therapy is an approach. So one of the key problems or impairments that people experience, and this is particularly between neurodivergent people and neurotypical people or allistic people, and you'll see those definitions around in the research that we give, so I won't spoil it for you. But the key is that there are communication disorders. And so, like, I may look at someone and say, hey, look, the sky is blue today. And I thought I said the sky is blue today. But that person is like, man, why did that person tell me that I'm looking extra blue today? Like, I really put a lot of work in over the summer to like look good. And it's the first day of blah, blah, blah. And why would they say that? To me, I have no idea that I'm doing that. And so it's a communication disorder. And so play, so the communication challenges happen when my brain is trying to talk to another person using my eyes and my mouth at the same time. And so play therapy is a way for you to actually communicate to other people's brains using other methods. If I touch someone's skin, they're receiving communication from me. But it may be a pathway that's not impacted by my particular impairments, visual memory and verbal memory. And so one of the things you can do when you're creating accommodations, if you understand the science of what's actually happening, you can leverage different ways of activating a person's brain so communication flows better. It's like the difference between using a 56K modem or using a symmetrical fiber or 5 gigabit line that's like, it's literally light and it's super science, right? And so how do you create scenarios where those people can communicate and share information? They're communication disorders. If you remember one thing from this entire thing, I want you to understand that people who have either ADHD or who have autism or both, it is a communication disorder. And that's one of the genesis of a lot of the challenges. And so let's look at another way of communicating that has a lot of promise for neurodivergent and neurotypical people working together. I'm going to unhide that. And we're going to give 10 minutes, Gemma.
Yeah, we'll do the research task again. So I'm just gonna open up all the rooms. It looks like when I was looking at the rooms, there were some people that were in quite a small room. And so it could be that actually it was those rooms that we didn't cover. So I've now reallocated those people. So for some of you, you might end up in a different room than the one you were in before. So I'm gonna just send you all off into your rooms now. Well done, welcome back, everybody. Nice. Myron, I saw you just like circulating.
Yeah, I was just jumping around.
Beautiful, brilliant. Okay, so without further ado, shall we head over to group one? Group one, if you're happy, can you give us your presentation, please? What is play therapy, group one, and how can we support each other?
All right, and group two, whoever's going to jump in, like be ready.
Yeah, go.
I think our presenter may have lost the connection. So maybe you want to start with group two and come back to us?
Let's do that. Okay, group two, over to you.
Okay, so we've got some stuff on what is play therapy. We then got distracted with a conversation with Myron, but so what is play therapy? Using play as a way of helping people understand and express their thoughts and feelings. Again, using play and art materials, so various mechanisms, again, helping people to express themselves. There was something about helping, yes, using activities to help children through mental and emotional issues. I guess it's not necessarily limited to children. We then discovered there's multiple types of play therapy. At a macro level, we think directed and non-directed, but underneath that there's all sorts of different techniques, using toys, using art, using games, using puppets, Lego, whatever it is that enables people to express themselves through play and practical things. And there's a really small one there that I didn't read. Yeah, so it can be particularly beneficial for people who struggle communicating, because it can be an indirect way of helping them to communicate.
Brilliant. Yeah.
That's it for two.
Thank you very much. Thank you, group two. Round of applause. Okay, so group three don't have access to the Miro board, so they are just going to present verbally. So over to group three.
Okay. I know what my group is now. Okay, so using play therapy as a way, not limited to children, but as a way for people to express their feelings, their emotions, and to develop awareness. And in terms of obviously how that's done, I think it's important. We thought it's important to have an interaction with the therapist that allows both sides to be receptive of each other's communication, but not limited to the therapist. That poses the question as to whether those teachings and how to use play therapy, be it on adults or children, should be propagated across teams, and everyone should be able to communicate through play therapy. And it shouldn't be just a qualified skills, but it should be a way of communicating for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. Really, really accessible way of communication. And I love the fact it's very similar to the previous group you picked up. Definitely helps people with different communication styles, especially people who aren't particularly strong at the verbal thinking styles. It can really help those who are maybe more visual thinkers or conceptual thinkers. So yeah, fantastic presentation. Well done, group three, and I'm glad we discovered that you were group three. Okay, over next to group four.
Okay, so what is play therapy? So a way to teach social skills, calm anxiety, and improve self-esteem. We actually got kind of sidetracked into a kind of conversation about neurodiversity, but we did some interesting research. But the thing with the play therapy, it actually sounds like a lot of fun. So looking at some of the kind of exercises, like keeping a balloon off the ground and jumping on a giant button to say yes or no to answer questions, and throwing a ball of bricks to knock it down. All this stuff sounds amazing, and I'd love to actually do it. And in terms of how can we use it to support each other? So helping with impulse control, internalizing personal strengths, and help with routine, cadency, stress, and focus.
Brilliant. That is incredible. Thank you very much. Yeah, and then you may in the next exercise get to think about maybe how you could actually use some of those things yourself. So fantastic work, group 4. Well done. Next over to group 5. Later.
Yes, I think I was volunteered by the group. Let me give it a try. To add what was already said, we also mentioned that this playing helps people to go over traumatic situations or the daily emotional upheavals through play. It helps learning about yourself, your characteristics, what you're good at, what you're struggling with. And if you face, it was said in a context of facing a difficult situation or decision, going through a game like Brain Frisky, which seems difficult and hard, makes your brain realize, I can do it. So those are the things I would add.
Yeah, and so even more on building that internal sense of self-esteem. Yeah, fantastic.
And confidence.
And confidence. Yeah, brilliant. Well done. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like I wanted to just say, I have autism and ADHD, and the way I experience it is I actually experience it as having like 2 different brains. I've always had this, I've always known that I had a robot inside of my head. I literally call it the robot. And when I was in the United States Navy early in my life, I was really afraid of command because autism is a very system thinking way of thinking. It's pattern recognition at a really high scale. And some people are really fascinated with systems. And the thing that I learned when I was in the Navy was this idea that, and I completely forgot it. Let me see if my is my audio here. Never mind. I'll just go to the next group. I've lost the script.
That's all right.
And that happens. By
Final group is group 1. So we've looped all the way back to group 1. So group 1, do you have your presenter back? Yeah, Maru is saying to Porter. Yeah,
it was me again. So very quickly, we said play therapy was helping and learning how to communicate, observing play, asking open-ended question, play as a means of communication and expression, possible use of gaming and or gamification. Then we said, how can we support each other? We said safe and non-threatening environment, reducing anxiety, increasing social interaction. Things like Lego serious play or gamification and gaming, building stuff, doing something active, changing the environment to support all, and a recognition that quite often people with some of the neurodivergence can't change the way they think, so you have to change yours.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh.
It's like a mic drop moment there, isn't it, Myron?
Right.
Yeah.
Like how do we create a world where people can actually jump in and interrupt 25 to 50 people and completely forget what they were going to say and just end it and move forward?
Yeah.
What would that look like at your place of work right now? Who would be talking to me after this meeting? Right. I see a lot of smiles. Judith's like, yo, I have my notes. We can do this better. But that's just a thing. Like, we're smiling and we know that we've screwed up. But if I didn't call it out, you would not know that I had just screwed up. And so I told you I was going to be unmasked today.
Thank you for bringing that today, Myron.
Thanks, Gemma.
Lovely.
Was that group 1 all set?
think so. Brilliant. So yeah, next, Myron, if you're able to like unhide the neuro cocktails and application area on the Myro, we will cover this bit next. So this next section that we're going to be presenting to you is some work that me and Myron did whilst we were on the AWA program, which is called Innovation and Leadership.
Yes.
And that's an incredible group because we basically covered various different topics and brought together all of our different areas of knowledge to create new models. And one of the new models that we created was this one, which is called Neurochemical Cocktails for Facilitators. And we wanted to bring this to you today because it's a way of looking at creating your workshops that activate certain neurochemicals within the brain. And you can optimize it for different states. So a lot of this research is based off the back of Amy Brown's book, which is Neuroscience for Coaches. And so it's very recent, like research into neuroscience and the different types of activities that coaches might do to target different neurochemical states, which get us to certain outcomes. So in my mind, this was like cocktail making. So if we wanted to create a neurochemical cocktail that geared our participants into a state of creativity, then we need to target certain neurochemicals as part of that. And the main one would be some dopamine. And also there is an acid there that I am finding unpronounceable at this moment. And that
aminobutyric acid.
Yes, I'll take it. So we were engaging
I'm sorry, aminobutyric acid.
Butyric acid, yes. That sounds right. Thank you, Myron. And so what we're wanting is to create like a more-ish feeling. We want to kind of do more and more. We also need that aminobutyric acid to get into a focused flow state. So when people are in a focused flow state, they find that they have more of this kind of neurochemical being produced in the brain. And so there's some different activities that we might then do to get that dopamine running, or that kind of focused flow state feeling. So for example, we might run a mindful check-in. We might maybe have some music. We might make some choices about the material, like give different choices for the materials that people can create with, so that they're kind of moving into a more creative play state. And we also might break things down into small tasks with visible output to trigger the release of dopamine, which is like that sense of satisfaction. So you keep going back for more and more. So it's kind of increasing that more-ish state. So that's what we might do for creativity, but there's also different chemicals for things like connection, which needs oxytocin, which is the love chemical. And then I've got a recent actually adaptation to this one. It says adrenaline. So men need adrenaline for connection. However, women are much more reliant on oxytocin for connection. So men, when they go through like a big scary experience together, they bond. They're like, yeah, we're the team. Whereas I think women are more likely to want to kind of sit down and be cozy and say nice things to each other, and women are more likely to be connected by that. So that again, I think shows when we're measuring like what is normal in brain science, we have to be quite careful about the research that we are looking at and how diverse the test subjects are in those things. It's just something.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Myron. Yeah, go for it.
Gemma, I wanted to throw in as well. So like the science is enabling technology also.
Yeah.
And there's another side of enabling technology. It's disabling technology.
Yes.
When you get a gift card and you wait 3 years because everyone's busy and there was a plague and I'm not going to spend my money, I'm going to save it up, right? Yeah. And so you go to spend it and it's only 40% of the value. That's disabling technology. These are decisions that are made by people enabling or disabling technology. So the science is as well. And so you have to look at what they were trying to do. What were the research questions? What are the confounding factors? Look into the research, because if you happen to be neurodivergent or know people who are neurodivergent, it is a matter of life or death.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
and one of the things that most people don't talk about is, unlike most other things, visibly white people are actually, in my experience, a lot more in danger when it comes to misunderstandings of neurodivergence. Because what I found is the entire system that we have now, with its pluses and minuses, is dependent on them finding the 10 to 13 visibly white males that are autistic. You've seen them in the movies. And so if you happen to have a child that has needs, or if you have needs, it's really important to connect with a neurodivergent community so that you know what those things mean for you in the real. So
Thank you, Myron.
go for it, Gemma.
Okay. So anyway, we're going to use some of this idea for you to create your own workshop design. So I'm going to put you back into your 6 groups again, but I'm going to make sure that we're, I think group 3, if possible, I'm going to split you into the groups that do have access to the Myron board, because that really helps. The instructions for this task are, you pick a workshop. So you've got like a load of blue post-it notes up here. So you pick a workshop that you would like to design. You choose the emotional state, which is the pink post-it notes that you want to optimize for. And then finally, you pick your cocktail ingredients from the mini bar here. And those are the yellow post-it notes. And then you place them onto your cocktail shaker. So we've got like an open, what you're going to choose to do for an opener, what you might do to help people discover or learn something new, what you might do to help the participants explore that idea, and then what you might do to close. So you should have like really like a 4-part workshop design on your cocktail shaker. If you don't see the ingredient that you're looking for, so the activity that you're looking for in the yellow boxes, then do feel free to add your own. So first of all, are there any questions about that particular task?
Me again.
No, go for it. Yeah.
When you're talking about, picking these post-it notes like the pink and the yellow,
Yes.
just to confirm, we copy and paste rather than take and drag, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You copy and paste. Yeah, that's such a good shout. Yeah, because there's there'll be 3 of you sharing the one board. So yes, absolutely, you need to copy and paste rather than click and drag. Yeah, any other good questions like that will help? No. In that case, I will open all of those rooms. I will see you all shortly. This time, because we've not got too long left, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. And let's go now. We are now out of time, so apologies, because I don't know whether we're going to have a chance to play back, unless anybody wants to just hang on a little bit longer, and then we can do the playback just again just like over a minute, and then we can close. Brilliant. Okie dokie. So for those hanging on, shall we have our playback from so I think I'd reduced down the number of workshop groups. So shall we start off with group 2? Looks like you've got some ideas here.
I'll jump in. We were struggling a little bit. We lost a couple of our team members due to time, but we wanted to look at the workshop 3 idea of considering the impact on unconscious bias, and we felt 2 things. One, creativity, to try and drill into the subject area and really get under the skin of it. The whole point of it being unconscious bias is that we're not conscious of it, so we may need to explore that. But we also wanted to really build connection with people around in the room and whatever as well. So we pick those 2 focus areas, maybe a bit ambitious. And we sort of timed out in terms of what the activities and things that we're going to do. Fill in the blanks should have been the second ticket. I'm not sure what's happened there. It's repeated the same one twice, but fill in the blanks was going to be our second one.
Nice.
And then we timed out, I'm afraid, but looks like a really interesting model actually. And the way you structured it, definitely like to come back and look at this again.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I mean, do feel free just to kind of carry on playing with the model as a way of just kind of using that tool outside of this. But yeah, thank you very much. I think you've got some like really nice ideas. I really like filling the blanks, and I like the way that you've tied those activities to the different states. So yeah, I think creativity and connection sounds perfect for that workshop. So yeah, thank you very much. Round of applause for group 2. Okay, let's move over to group 4. Anyone from group 4 able to present?
I'll do it. Okay. So we picked workshop 3 as well, to impact of unconscious bias on recruitment, because Alessandra likes picking hard topics. So for connection, we looked at doing something lightweight to start with, so a funny video, nice music around getting the mood right for the following activities. And then for the connection, so we're looking at the connection, what do you want to call that, the sort of that area for connection, right? So we're looking at heart opening, sharing experience and gratitude. So we finished off with a gratitude exercise, and kind of started off after the initial exercise. We discovered the heart opening question of, when was the last time you noticed your own bias? We considered doing like a really deep question, like when's the last time you cried or something along those lines. But we discussed that and thought maybe that might be kind of uncomfortable for some people to share something that deep, so soon.
Yeah.
We didn't really fill in the explore part.
It's already shaping up, I think, to be an incredibly connecting workshop. So I love that. I love the addition of your own heart opening question as well. I think that's so nice. It looks like it would be, whatever you kind of put in there, a really cool workshop design idea. So thank you very much, group 4. And then over to group 5.
Yep, so I'll do this one. So we went for workshop 4, the design ideation workshop for a new podcast. So we thought the real thing for this is creativity.
Yeah.
But first of all, having meditation to get everyone to context switch into where we are now, take a deep breath, sit in the chair, forget everything else and be ready to do it. And then discovering, doing some drawing and mark making, visual recording as well, so that you keep a record of it all, but doing it, that's all in a very visual way, obviously, to help with that. And then for exploring, doing different things like going outside, moving around the room, just being a different context to stimulate a bit of different part of your brain. And then we wanted to end up with gratitude, like really appreciating the qualities of everyone in the room, because that will help them to think better and think in a better vibe. So we had great fun doing this. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I just really love the way, I kind of knew I would, but seeing the way that people are kind of putting together these ideas in a way that really works. So yeah, round of applause for that group. And then finally over to Myron, who I think, oh, sorry. Yeah, Myron, you're signaling me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I finally fixed my scenario so I can actually, I've been playing this the whole time and it was not set up, so y'all didn't hear it.
You're quite muffled at the moment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, ignore that. Did y'all hear this applause?
No.
Ignore it, don't worry.
We'll get it working for next time.
Well, yeah, we'll get it for next time.
Brilliant. So yeah, that is the end of today's workshop. Thank you very much, and apologies that we've overrun. I think Myron, you've just got a little bit of a shout about the boot camps that you're running, and then we are all...
Yes, thank you so much. So there's a section over here, how to find, how to see more from us. Brighter work. Gemma and AWA Global are doing amazing work, so like start there. Next, take a look at Practical Delivery. It's a publication I've been writing for a couple of years, and I'm going to be launching a boot camp called Practical Delivery soon, so stay tuned. AWA Global, like we're here, particularly the innovation and leadership cohort, and all the things that we're doing, because we've been brought together by AWA Global. So please, like, take a look at what's happening. You'll see a picture in the center here. There's Gemma, Visual Thinking by Brighter Work with Gemma. So there's a link here to see her in action. Also, there's the workshop, What's Agile Got to Doodle with It? It's a recording that Gemma did recently to showcase a lot of the work and the possibilities of expanding what that space looks like when you're creating that container of safety. Human Sense Coaching, that's my company. You're gonna stay tuned. You'll be hearing more in 2023 from me. And this is, just one slide of the Agile Product Development Bootcamp. And so, yeah, like, Jude, is there any other? Oh, and this is me. Like, if you happen to be interested in finding a neurodivergent coach to affirm you and help you on your journey to figure out how to show up strong with your full set of capabilities, give me a shout. That link, I'd love to help you. And that's I'd like to help you discover yourself, your full entity rather. You've actually, if you're neurodivergent, you've been playing the game on nightmare mode with your arms tied behind your back. I'd like to help you with that. Let's get to story mode or casual mode. And on that, Gemma, right? Mara, you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much. It's been so good. I've had an amazing time, and you've been an absolutely amazing group. So yeah, we will hopefully see you again very soon in some way or another. Fantastic. Take care.